All right, what a
Yeah.
great podcast we have today. Stand Up Memories. I am Peter Bales. This is Jackie, the Joke Man Martling,
And you are our first, I would say, international icon.
our first international icon, Tommy Chong.
Well, thank
look-
you. Except I'm not an icon. I'm more Mexican.
So we are talking to Tommy Chong, and I'm thinking, where do we go with this? Tommy Chong is synonymous with changing attitudes toward marijuana and has had such a career in show business. I mean, those two topics come immediately to mind. And we're both stand-up comedians, Tommy. I am a fan. I am in your demographic. I was right there. My age was the sweet spot for your wonderful career. And my
Thank you.
friends and I grew up laughing with you. So much fun.
So you've been in therapy all your life too, then?
I've actually, you're hitting a little close to home with that. I have been in therapy, and I supported
Well, that's
100%.
what stand-up is that we get paid. We get paid for working our problems out with the rest of the people, and we get
You
paid.
let them suffer through it, right?
Yeah. That's all we have to do,
Now, I want to ask you, you were in a team, obviously, and you've done a solo act. How's the transition from a team to a solo act? It must have been kind of challenging.
It's lonely. It's very lonely. And when you're alone out there, it's scary because you got no protection. In other words, you have no excuse. As long as you got a partner, you always got an excuse. Oh, I like to go to the party, but we got to work out things. And my partner, blah, 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 or my wife, oh, I got to go home, But when you're out there alone, it's like, hey, get in the car. Come on, we're going. Where are we going? Don't worry about it. And the next thing you know, you're at some horrible party or an event or quick run. The cops are coming. One of those situations. So I when I got out there alone, it was exciting because it's life or death, on stage. But when that wore off, oh man,
It's a double-edged sword. It's all you, but it's all you.
Yeah.
In the 70s, I was in a two-man act, and we told jokes. And if I was doing crappy, all you have to do is look at your partner, and that takes all, and all of a sudden they're on him. When you're alone,
you're alone. You got nowhere to hide. And so, but to me, everything is an experience. Like I've never done anything that I've been known for. I never grew up thinking I'm going to be a movie director, or I'm going to be a movie actor, or I'm going to be a guitar player for Motown, and none of that, ever entered. My plan was try to make it to the next day, and and then try to make it through school. Why? Well, because it's a lot easier than working for a living,
Right.
And then when I found out, well, playing music is actually more fun than working.
Yeah.
And so then I got into the music world. And once I got into the music world, and I found out it had nothing to do with your higher education. It just had to do with whether you can play or not. And so that's what got me going. And it was my training with the music that got me into comedy.
Right.
Because when you're in music, you got to learn tunes, and you can't learn them half-assed. You got to learn the whole tune. You got to learn the lyrics, blah blah blah. And comedy was no different. When I started into comedy, because I'd played behind a lot of floor shows, where you had the comic. Because back in the 50s, 40s, 50s, every club had a show. They had dancers, they had a comic, and they had a band, and then they had a jukebox.
Yeah. Wow.
And so
Wow.
I grew up with Redd Foxx, for instance. I seen Redd when he was fairly new, and then I saw him at the end of his career, and I got to know him, and so he was a master of all the stand-up comedians. Everybody says, Eddie Murphy says that, Richard Pryor used to say it. Redd Foxx was the master.
Redd Foxx was your biggest influence. Is that fair to say?
Yes, yes. When it came down to, working out for a living. Lenny Bruce, I got turned on to Lenny right away. And so Lenny got me the smoke a reefer.
Right.
Yeah, the pot. He was the first pot comedian, and so I went Lenny Bruce. Redd was more into the booze and the sex,
I think Redd was like basically whatever was in front of him,
Yeah, but he could get so nasty that he could control the crowd. I seen him do 2 hours. The first hour he had them laughing, and then he brought them down so much that they were running outside there, and he went to open the door for them and opened the door and let them run to leave. And then he went back up on stage and did another hour. It was the most amazing. I've never seen anything like it.
Hey, Tommy, I'm going to set Jackie up, but there's a story that comedians hear about Redd Foxx. I want to know if you've heard the story or if it's believable. Okay, here's the story. He's in Las Vegas and there's a storm, and because of the weather, probably about 10 people showed up for his show. And they introduced him on that night. And the band played him up with the theme song from his TV show. So pick it up here. The band played him up on stage with the theme from his TV show. And he walked to the microphone.
I do not know what you're talking about.
And he walked to the microphone and he said, I don't go on for no fucking 10 people. And he walked off and the band goes, they played him on and they played him off. Have you heard that?
Oh, yes.
I saw him in Fort Lauderdale and he went up, and after 10 minutes, all these people are yelling, do Fred Sanford, do Fred Sanford. And he said, fuck Fred Sanford. I'm Redd Foxx. I've been Redd Foxx for 55 years. He turned around and did his entire set to the band with his back to, the whole set. What a character,
Well, his fame trapped him, and because he was such a stand-up comedian, from was the epitome. He was the model. Think of stand-up comic. That's Redd Foxx, and he couldn't get used to the fact that when you're Fred Sanford, now you're icon like me, and they're not expecting for you to entertain them. What people they want you to shut up so they can tell you how like Stanford and Son, how that affected their life.
And he doesn't care.
He doesn't get not a shit. I quit Stanford and Son? Did you know that story?
So Redd Foxx was probably breaking barriers before even Lenny Bruce.
No, Redd Foxx quit Stanford and Son because his dressing room never had a window.
I remember that story.
Is that true? That's true.
And he never had a window, and they wouldn't give him one. And so he says he's out of there because. Hey, listen.
He was making crazy money.
Jim Crow, it's still here. We're at the remnants of it. We grew up right at, on the edge, like I love Redd Foxx in the show that I saw. It was he did a show in Chicago, and Redd, it was the first time I ever heard him sing 2 songs. He sang Chicago all the way through. And he can sing. There's no bullshit. The man can sing. And he sang Chicago and I think New York or something like that on the end of his show. But then in the middle of the show, he starts talking. How he would talk about pussy, He's talking about sex, but if you get a good look at the pussy, it's not that cute, he says, you look at it, he says, looks like Sammy Davis Jr.'s eye with his eye out.
That's great. That is so great.
Oh man, I mean that is so beautiful. Redd Foxx was so beautiful. He was such a beautiful man.
He was. And such an inspiration to so many comedians. What a great role model.
Oh yeah.
Not only
I met him. I hung with him a few times because I had an after hours club up in Vancouver. So I met all those guys, and I hung with them, and that's where I got my humor from, that's where I got my whole start, hanging out with these guys because it's like jazz, It's like I was hanging out with John Coltrane, and Miles Davis, and because all the jazz guys, they all got their number one joke, that just kills wherever they go. And every time I get with some jazz guys, I try to get in there and find out what joke, that they're doing. And I've had some beauties just from the jazz guys alone,
They are the biggest fans. I'm a joke teller, and they're the biggest fans.
Yeah.
Redd Foxx's favorite joke was, did you hear about the Polish gangster? His career was managed by 3 black singers, which is just so inside and stupid. But he loved that, man. That's the only joke he ever told me.
look at he's laughing. We got
That's
you.
a beauty, ain't
We
it?
got you on that one.
That's a beauty.
Oh man. No, so what was your stage name? Has always been what you are now? Either one.
Peter Bales, that's my real name, and Jackie's.
You and I have crossed paths. We were both in the movie Potluck 20 years ago. Remember that movie?
Wow, yeah.
It was a big, there was a big rally down in Central Park, and you were on stage. We didn't have any scenes together, but so many people were in that movie.
Sure.
It was great fun. And also, I was the head writer on the Stern Show when you and Cheech came on, and it was the Christmas show, and Howard Stern played Mary, and he was on the donkey, and I think you guys shared the role of Joseph. It was so horribly blasphemous. It was just
yeah, and he gave birth to Jesus.
Really fun. Do you remember that? It's a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, we were a big. We influenced Howard Stern quite a bit, with Cheech and Chong.
Oh yeah, and he copped to that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then later on, Cheech, I was on Howard without Cheech, and we were trying to find a new Cheech, and so Howard we did a little contest, and we had it at the Laugh Factory in L.A., and we had everything but Chicanos show up for the.
Yeah.
We had 90-year-old ladies. We had guys. We had everything but a Chicano. There wasn't one Chicano in the audience.
That's so great.
That's great.
That's so fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Yeah, I kind of missed. And then Howard, I don't know what happened, but Cheech and I got back together, and then we were on Howard Stern show together again. And then after that, he lost interest in us, and we hadn't been on there since.
There's a lot of that going around.
I heard.
So, Tommy, we talk to a lot of comedians on this podcast, and we find that comedians can have so many great shows, but the ones that they remember, and especially the ones that they remember when comedians get together, are the ones where everything went wrong.
Oh, absolutely. We're here in this physical universe to learn, and you only learn from your mistakes.
Right. When it goes right, you learn nothing.
You learn nothing. When you look up into the sky at night, all you're seeing is violence and change and incredible explosions going off. A lot of violence, chaos going on in the universe, and we're part of it. You see, and the thing is, especially with comedy, I remember my first time on stage. I cracked up at the audience more than they cracked up at me, because I went on the day after Rodney King got his ass whipped.
Oh,
And so I'm on stage and I'm talking about see, it doesn't matter to a mother, it doesn't matter what your son did to be on TV. The fact that he's on television, she's got to phone her girlfriends and say, there you see, he's on TV.
oh Jesus Christ.
I said, one of the cops, that was beating him, that was my boy. Did you see him? He was the one that hit him. He looks like he should use a good meal. I went into that bit, and the audience kind of went along with it, except when I finished the bit, I get a guy yelling out, "Where's Cheech?"
I bet you're sick of hearing that, right?
No.
No?
Thing is, what I learned, how to be happy is very simple. No regrets. If you can eliminate regrets in your life, you got room for so many good thoughts and so many good experiences that you've done, that like you said, why do you worry about the one bad show when you did all
We were just talking about that before. You put that on the shelf and enough,
Yeah.
I wish I was better at doing that. You're right.
Well,
I
you
know.
can. No, you can. You can. The thing is, you control your thoughts. See, this is what puts comedians above everybody else. See, we can control our thoughts to the point where we can take a laugh and keep it and kind of baby it and get it to the point and then present it. See, we have that talent. We have that talent of exposing the scenario at the right time, because that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with what happens if so-and-so did this, or I remember that happened, or something. We're just dealing with scenarios that we invent, you see. And so we have control. Now,
and if you have an audience that doesn't let you do that, it's their loss, not yours.
Right. That's right. That's why you don't have to worry. Like Fox and Pryor too, because I've seen him many, many times. And one of Richard Pryor used to go on, and the first thing he would say on stage is, "I hope I'm funny."
Yeah.
I hope I'm funny. And then he would do a show.
Redd Foxx would tell, I'm a dirty joke teller, and Redd Foxx
Sure.
tell dirty joke after dirty joke. And I listened to every one of his albums, and I already knew most of the jokes.
Yes.
But I love his comments. And he's in the middle of telling all these dirty jokes, and he looked down at this lady in the front and he said, "Don't look at me, lady. Somebody's got to tell these jokes." It's like he had somebody pass them the baton, and that's just what he did.
Oh, I love the bit that I thought for sure he'd be doing till he died was the race. Here comes wet towel up the rear, coming up the rear.
What's this joke? I want to hear this joke.
Oh, you got it. It's a bit, and it's a race about different body parts. All the horses are named different body parts, and what really was, and wet towel's bringing up the rear, that kind of thing. Hot digs in the front, hot digs, he's fading, he does a whole race thing about the sexual act. It's so genius that he doesn't even do it anymore. It's crazy. He must have had at least 20, maybe 30 brand new shows, start to finish. Now, how many have you done? I've done maybe 5.
Yeah, I mean, he had endless album after album, and some of his albums, they're like 5 people in the audience.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from it. They had one guy in the back, that's all it needed.
And a lot of times it was, that was Lenny Bruce. When you heard Lenny Bruce's record, you always hear his mother, Sally Marr, was sitting in the audience. And you could always hear her Jewish laugh, that it would get everybody else laughing too. Yeah. We go back, man. I go back I never saw Lenny, but I saw he was working at the Hungry Eye in San Francisco, and I was there. I had absolutely no money. In fact, we were like shoplifting beans, just so we could have something to eat. But Lenny's at Hungry Eye. And I wasn't in the comedy, I wasn't doing stand-up, but I was really into the improvisational theater and Lenny Bruce especially. And so I snuck around to the kitchen, and I went into the kitchen, and I got as close as I could to the stage. I could hear him. And so I listened. I heard Lenny Bruce live. So that was quite a thrill.
So you remember Nichols and May, for example?
Oh, very well.
Oh, they were terrific. And
Oh, Mike Nichols, genius. Well, both of them. Both of them. Yeah, that was that improv. Dustin Hoffman, came out of that gang, Oh, well, Mike Nichols, he directed it, didn't he?
Yes.
The Graduate. Yeah. Wow.
That's way back, man.
So one thing that we always tell new comedians is that improvisation is a very close cousin of stand-up comedy, and having a background in improv, and you do, is very helpful when you go on to do stand-up. Correct?
Oh, absolutely. Because you're grabbing a character, and it could be your cousin or your uncle, or your brother, or your dad, or somebody, or even some characters that other comedians created. the committee, for instance.
The committee.
The committee.
Very famous in comedy history. The committee. There's a name.
They were so pissed off at Cheech and Chong because I came through San Francisco at that time when I saw Lenny in the kitchen, but I somehow got the money to see the committee, and I saw them like 3 or 4 nights in a row. Just so all the bits. That's how we formed Cheech and Chong. We did old committee bits. And the one thing I did, I never pretended that we wrote anything. I gave credit where credit was due. And I always did, and I still do. And but that didn't help.
Well,
all the committee hierarchy, like Howard Hessman, for instance. You remember Johnny Fever?
Howard Hessman.
Yeah.
WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yeah. Well, Howard, I was the biggest fan of Howard Hessman because he was the first committee guy that really impressed me, because he was like the MC, and he was always grouchy, and at first you think, well, he'd use it to get attention, or to command the audience, because that's what improv actors learn how to do. They can command the whole audience. They can quiet everybody down. This is the techniques you learn when you got the audience looking at you, and these guys were they're genius at it.
They absolutely were. And that scene you're talking about came before the Second City scene in both Chicago and Toronto. That was before.
That's way back there.
Yeah, that's going way back.
Before. It was a year or two before, and then the Second City, and I saw Second City with Peter Boyle. He was
Peter
one
Boyle.
Of the members. He was one of the cast members. That's when I remember Peter could sing. He was a crooner, like a Frank Sinatra.
Wow.
And so if you watch Everybody Loves Raymond, every once in a while they'll get Peter singing like a crooner. Incredible actor, all those guys. And I had the pleasure of working with Peter Boyle in Yellowbeard with the Monty Python crew, and Cheech and I, and that was our in the movie we did with the Monty Python people. And so we hung out. And actually, that was the movie that kind of split Cheech and I up, because they separated us. Up until then, Cheech and I had never been separated. Every movie we did, either I was there, he was there, and we're kind of like directing each other, And but in Yellowbeard, they had a director, and they just wanted Cheech the actor, so they took Cheech away from me, and that was the first time, and Cheech loved it.
That's great.
I was nervous, I eventually got it, but Yeah, it was the first time.
Tommy Chong, you seem so comfortable in your skin, in your where you are in life. You just on the podcast, I'm looking at you. I think you're happy. You seem like a happy guy. You're not just putting it on for the podcast.
Oh no! It took a while. You have to learn. You have to learn how to. A lot of people, especially wealthy people, and I'm getting to know a lot of wealthy people. They're very unhappy because they shouldn't be. you know.
But somebody who
You know,
knows
money is so funny. When I was so broke, I was always like, if I just had some money, everything would be perfect. And all of a sudden you get some money, and that's just one of the problems that comes off the shelf. And as soon as you look up, the shelf is still full of problems. You got to just enjoy what's going on,
Well, especially when you got nothing else, but you got nothing. And so the only thing you got is your sense of humor. That's all you got.
At the end of the day, that's all we got.
And if you laugh at it, and the amazing thing, because we can control the universe. We can control the weather. We have that power. It's written in all the scriptures. They'll tell you have that power.
I can't even control him.
oh man.
Hey,
I wish we can't even scratch the surface with this guy. You are so terrific.
Now wait, I know I saw on Twitter or somewhere that you're promoting something specific, right?
A bunch of stuff. We're promoting this sleep aid. This is called Nice Dreams. And what it does, it puts you in nice dreams. It just takes the edge off. And next thing you know, it's morning and you're thinking, oh, what day is it today? Oh.
Is it just like it sounds? Nice dreams?
That's what it is. And then I got another one called Good Vibes around here somewhere. And good vibes is the opposite. Good vibes will bring you up. Nice dreams will put you to sleep. And then we got the gummies, all the Cheech and Chong gummy bears. The trouble is, I'm my best customer. I eat.
It took a long time, but they finally getting around to legalizing pot just in time for us guys to die. That's not fair.
You know what? And we didn't get time for this, but I did want to ask Tommy.
Sure.
In your lifetime, did you ever think that attitudes toward marijuana would change as much as they have? Laws and attitudes. You've seen it in your lifetime.
I got to say it. Yes, I did. And I'll tell you why. In the 50s, right around the middle of the 50s, I guess. No, at the end of the 50s, around 58, 59, we got kicked out of Calgary, the city. It's a long story, but the band was so popular. We were a mixed band. We were the black and half Chinese like myself, and we were attracting too big of a crowd, and we got too powerful, basically. And so they said, get out of town. So we went to Vancouver, and then Vancouver is where it's a big city. And that's where we learned our trade about how to exist in the big city, in the entertainment business, and so I stayed in the music business and ended up with a couple of nightclubs that were given to me. See, if you got good karma, and good karma comes with believing, having faith. The holy word for God in the Hebrew language is Yahweh.
Yeah.
Do you know what Yahweh means?
No.
It means I am.
I am.
That's right. So the word of God is I am.
So I told you.
That's what Popeye used to say. I am what I am.
I am what I am.
Remember Popeye?
Sure.
He was right. I am. And see, and that's like in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, they're looking for the holy name of the Ark of the Covenant, and they're trying to make it like it's going to explode or something like that. but that's the secret word of God, and it's written on these obelisks that were in Egypt at the time. But then when Britain was going through its world domination, it stole artifacts from Egypt and all these places. And one of the obelisks is in Central Park. And another one's at the Museum of Natural Museum in London. And then I think the other two are in Egypt. But they all say the same holy word, Yahweh, I am. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
I actually think that's the first thing I yelled when I got laid. I said, Yahweh! That's probably something a little bit different.
Jackie does that a lot on the podcast. He takes wonderful, deep moments and pretty much trashes them.
Somebody has to break balls. We have to, we're not being rude. We have to end the podcast.
I know. We scratch the surface with, you are so wonderful and you've been so nice with your time. And this is stand-up memories, and you are sharing such terrific memories that go back even farther than Jackie and I do. We're loving it. And I want to just thank you. You are an American treasure and also a Canadian one and a Mexican one.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Chinese.
And Chinese.
And
that's the secret sauce with Cheech and Chong. Because you get anything called Chong in this world, we're talking billions and billions of people.
That takes in everybody.
That's what I'm saying.
We'd love to have you on again if you would.
Anytime.
This was wonderful, man. And
I'm with
thank you, Tommy, the one and only, I can truly say that, Tommy Chong, for sharing wonderful memories of Redd Foxx, whom we both love, and comedians forever who are starting out, who watch this podcast. Check out Redd Foxx and get some serious roots down when it comes to stand-up comedy. Thank you, Tommy.
Ciao, Bambinos.
All right, man.
Truly an honor.